Evelyn Lindsay is suing Stanley Williams in the amount of $2,845.98. Ms. Lindsay claims Mr. Williams purposely booked her into a hotel that had bed bugs. Mr. Williams claims his company would never knowingly book a hotel that had bed bugs.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. Ms. Lindsay, let's talk about this case. $2,845.98. And this amount reflects all the injuries you sustained as a result of some bed bugs.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I've had the experience of being in a hotel and having the exact same thing. And it's horrible. In terms of, because in all your clothes, you have to make sure it's separate, and if you bring it home. You were actually on business for Mr. Williams.
That's right.
You all had a pretty good relationship for a while, yes?
Very long time.
How long were you actually working for Mr. Williams?
For 7 years.
For 7 years.
But also, I never once in all those 7 years until now heard any complaint from Mrs. Lindsay either.
And
were you complaining during the 7-year period?
No, I was.
You enjoyed the job.
I enjoyed the job. I take my job seriously.
Okay.
And actually, sometimes the quiet ones who are not necessarily complaining are the
worst
ones who are. Well, they can be the worst ones, but no, they're doing their job and hoping to be noticed for the work that we're doing.
We're here because, as a result of the last travel excursion, you guys had a parting of the ways.
That's right.
All right.
So I was asked to travel for 5 days in Wisconsin. The hotel situation, it has always been tenable.
Define that for me.
Mr. Williams likes to save money, and sometimes he likes to save money on things like accommodation and food.
For himself as well?
No.
You all stay there, and I'm going to stay up
Your
here.
Honor, I do actually have the same budget for hotels as she does.
Okay.
So, and I do
We don't have
stay
the same
within that
travel
remit.
budget.
Part of the perks of being the owner of the company.
So there's a risk sometimes in some of these places. You might stick to the walls or the floors if you stood still too long. But
some of these places were a little sketchy.
they were dodgy. I'd say they were quite sketchy.
And when did you discover there was an issue? You had some sort of infestation? Or
Yeah,
what?
when I got home.
When did you discover there was an issue? You had some sort of infestation? Or
Yeah,
what?
when I got home.
Oh, you didn't notice it until you had
I
gone?
was tossing and turning in the rooms. I felt very, very uncomfortable.
It never
but
occurred to you that, okay, this may be a bed bug
I
situation?
didn't actually think about it too much until I got home. Bed bugs, I guess, can take days to show up.
Yeah.
And so it was my husband who saw them on my back. Pretty much within days of coming home. I have some evidence of
Please,
that.
I'd like to see that, yes.
I'll take all the receipts and everything.
And really,
And
the
this one's
issue
mine,
of
that's
the $2,845
Yeah, the
reflects what?
reflects costs and the costs associated with exterminating. It doesn't actually reflect the damages, the full financial damages or the full emotional damages that we sustained as a family.
How so?
Well, bed bugs, as you know, having had them, require a lot of pre-work before the exterminator can come. You've got to steam carpets, get rid of things.
Well, here's what in the situation that I found myself in. I was staying in a hotel. I felt the bed bugs. I saw them on me. But then I ended up putting my belongings in my car, and my wife was like, do not bring anything in that car home. It was a mess.
That's right. And so
but
imagine
you were already
later,
home,
I got home.
and you didn't know that
No.
they started going all over the house.
So, and I have a period house. We have woodwork everywhere, and so the bed bugs hadn't gotten into the wood. We had to steam the carpets. We had to remove the mattresses. We had to clear closets. I took time off of work unpaid. My husband also had to take time off of work.
This email saying, you have this highlighted. I just had Jackie book my room. I got a coupon for another hotel you can use.
Yeah.
Want me to have her book it What's that about?
That's
Why
just
did you...
an example of how he liked to save money and
Oh, he would get
suggest that we
coupons
would
and say,
save
"This
money.
is where you're gonna
Yes,
stay."
that sounds-
Your
just
Honour,
a-
there's a lot of talk about penury here. I'm running a business and, you know, absolutely.
Well, listen,
I've
if you all had
used
a
coupons
relationship over
myself.
7 years and it worked for her, and did you feel like you were compensated for your work efforts?
My work, yeah, I felt compensated. I think I felt compromised in the end. I think there comes a point where you're working more above and beyond the call of duty, 7 days,
You're
here
giving,
and there.
giving.
You're giving, and then in the one time you sit down and say, you know,
Hey.
my family's under duress here. What we're asking for isn't even compensation for the whole of our damages, but how about the exterminator, please? And help us out.
And the page that I'm looking at here with what appears to be, is this your back?
That's my
and
back.
the spots. All
That's
right, let's
mine.
take a look at.
Passed on from me to my
I mean,
husband and
those
daughter.
bed bugs got you pretty good. My goodness. Wow. Wow. That's serious.
Coming up on America's Court.
When did you make that request?
I made that request formally, informally before I exited. Then I decided to quit, and then made the formal request after I quit.
Yeah, and you said everything but what I asked you.
And later.
And you're saying that you let her go because she wasn't dressing according to the way that you wanted her to dress.
Although
I let her go because she broke my contract.
We're back with the case of Evelyn Lindsay, who is suing Stanley Williams for exterminator costs.
Have you seen these photos?
I have,
sir?
Your Honour. And, you know, there's a lot of talk, Your Honour. I have all the way through been very good. We're in the 21st century. I have a very good human resources department. They have good bonuses, good money. I've been very empathetic to what Mrs. Lindsay and her family has been through. But
then why are we here?
Because, well, it very much, Your Honour, it's a matter of principle. You yourself said you found it in a hotel room, you locked it down, you could take it to that particular place. This has happened weeks after she has returned from a trip.
What happened weeks after?
This has all come to light. It wasn't happening in the hotel room, it's happened in her house. So we're talking a bug infestation.
Let me make sure we're all on the same page. You get home, it didn't immediately happen?
when I got home, it had immediately happened.
Where does he
It can
get
take
the whole
14
issue
days.
of weeks then?
Because in his opinion, I didn't make this claim to him right away.
When did you let him know that this had become the problem that it had become?
So
How
he
much
knew
time
within a
went
week.
by? A week went by.
For him to know we were under duress as a
And
family.
it was
All
a
right.
family drama. It wasn't even clear then, and that was a week after.
Okay. When
Weeks
did it
further
become
down.
clear to you that her position was, while I was working, I had the situation happen, your company's responsible, I want you to do right by me? When did that conversation take place?
Weeks after. She'd already handed in a notice at that time, weeks after.
No, wait, we're getting ahead. By the time you made the request, had you already quit?
I did quit first.
All
Yeah.
right. Why would you quit before he can even say yay or nay to the request?
Because of the treatment of my circumstances.
You've been with the company, you like your job, everyone's making money. He must have did, said, not said something
Yeah.
that left you feeling, I'm out of here.
When I came in to talk about the scenario, he mocked it, he ignored it, he
didn't- I
moved
did
it
not-
on.
That's the
I
issue.
did not
You
mock
didn't
it,
feel
Your
as
Honor.
though he was sensitive
Not
to
at
your
all.
issues.
Oh, he wasn't sensitive.
He was
to it.
not, in your opinion, he was not sensitive. You may not see it that way, but then all the other little things
Yeah.
that had been building up, and this was the last straw.
You're on-
We
I'm
were-
gonna let that
I
go.
already
Your
felt
Honour, she's
overcompromised.
feeding you decent accommodations. Our human resources have picked
Now
a
we're not
price
talking
point.
about the accommodations. What we're talking about
They
is
were decent
someone
accommodations.
who's saying to you, I'm busting my tail, I'm doing everything I can, my family is being impacted,
I acknowledge
and I'm
that.
going to be, sir,
Every year, sir.
the very thing that I'm telling you that she was feeling, even as I'm telling you, you don't want to hear it. And so what you're doing right now is why she said, I'm out. That's what she's trying to tell you.
You're,
You didn't want to quit.
It was a value call. I felt like it was time to
And had he treated
I
you
felt
differently, would you have stayed?
Yeah, all he had to do was acknowledge that there was an issue going on
I
and
got it.
actually do something.
Are
that
you happy
showed-
with where you are now?
where I am now is unemployed while this is going on.
Would you like to have her back?
I've expressed, Your Honour, I'd love to have her back.
Okay.
Yeah.
How bad do you want her?
I do, Your Honour. I've heard
Because
one side of
I got
the.
a proposition for you.
I've heard one side of the story.
I
here,
got
Your Honour.
I don't need to hear anything else. I got a proposition for you. If you really want her back, why don't you pay her $3,000?
Within the work of her doing the work and employment, I will pay those. If I am going to set up, all the staff, Your Honour, are watching what goes on here. I'm going to set up a whole president of litigious staff culture for something that was not my responsibility
I'm not talking about any of the staff. I'm talking about the person that has been with you that you value. And I'm trying to give you a way out. I'm saying to her, get out of your own way, be humble, and I'm saying to you, make her feel appreciated, and you're like, I don't get it. What I was hoping you would say was, it's worth it for me to pay it and I'll figure it out. Because if I were you now, I wouldn't go back either. Judgment in the amount of $2,845.98. That is the order. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $2,845.98.
I'm not happy about the ruling. I think Judge Ross was bugged out by his own experiences.
I'd rather be woefully unemployed than undervalued. I think I'll get into bed with another company.
Allie Acker is suing her former boss, Azriel Jacobs, in the amount of $4,608. She says the defendant fired her for not looking goth enough to his customers.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. Talk to me, Ms. Acker. What's going on here?
I'm here today to sue my former boss, Mr. Jacobs, for the value of $46.08, which
this dollar amount is based on what?
Based on 16 weeks of unlawful dismissal.
All right, 16 weeks of...
16 weeks of me being out of work due to unlawful dismissal.
All right, so how much you got paid every week?
I got paid $288 per week.
And you got dismissed. Why do you think you got dismissed?
I believe I was dismissed because Mr. Jacobs had an interest in me romantically.
All right, let me ask you.
That is not true.
Let me ask you.
Not true at all.
Did you ever find her...
No, sir. No, sir. No, Your Honor.
I didn't finish the question.
Find her attractive. Find her a target.
I don't need you to fill in the question. I need you to listen to the question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who made the decision to have her work at the establishment?
I hired her.
So you hired her.
Yes.
How would you describe her work performance?
She was great. She was great. This case has nothing to do with how she performed.
Well, yes, it does.
No,
because if you let her go...
I let her go on basis of a contract that I established in the beginning for my business.
He let me go because he said I wasn't dressing authentically Gothic enough.
All right.
That's in the contract. I made it. I wanted my business to be authentic.
Despite the fact
to be successful.
I can only hear one person at a time. So let's talk about what the expectation was for your employees.
The expectation is to dress according to the standard that I set forth, which is Gothic. Dark attire. I don't have a dress code.
When I think about goth, I think about people in all black.
Right, that's
black makeup,
that's
black fingernails.
That's correct.
He just said he doesn't have a dress code as such.
When you came in for the interview, were you dressed in a goth fashion?
I was, and
yes.
my style...
I'm looking at you now. You have on dark clothing.
Yes, this is what I would
generally... Is your hair
generally...
naturally that color?
Yeah, my hair is naturally
So you
dark.
you're wearing dark color. Would you say that this is a goth look?
I think she did that today to plead her case and to win the case. I've seen her. She started to dress more mainstream. She got a boyfriend from her college,
That's the
University
problem
of Pensacola.
there. I got a boyfriend from my college.
Coming up on America's Court.
And you're saying that you let her go because she wasn't dressing according to the way that you wanted her to dress.
Although
I let her go because she broke my contract. And she started to dress mainstream, a little less black.
That the boyfriend had anything to do with the change of her attire?
I couldn't tell you, other than the fact that it happened at the same time. It was a coincidence, I don't know.
Is this guy causing you to move in a different direction?
Yes, I mean...
Did you ask her that?
No, I did not ask her.
You did not.
I may not
so
have...
you made the assumption that because of this new guy,
Well,
she was moving in a different direction.
Well, I didn't know about the guy. She just started dressing different, so I kind of investigate.
You didn't know about the boyfriend. You saw her dressing differently.
Started to come into work.
You started doing investigative work.
Right.
And your investigative work turned out that she had a boyfriend.
Right. Who I think was taking away from the work, you know, her work started
But you didn't
slacking.
ask her, is he the reason why you're dressing less?
No, I didn't ask her, Your Honor. No, I didn't.
And were you starting to move away slightly from that look?
A little bit. I was exploring.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
So you were heavier into the goth look when you started working.
Only in terms of my piercings.
And as time went on, you started moving slightly away from it.
Only in terms of my piercings, because I started university and
All
I
right,
was
so
trying
let's
to
talk
fit
about
in.
the piercings. So is that part of the goth world, piercings?
Sure it is, yes.
And the less piercings you have would be reflective of someone that's moving away from it.
Oh, surely, yes.
Right. You know what I find interesting about people who work at maybe an amusement park is that when they show up to work, they have to show up in character. And so when you go into a job situation that requires you to be in character, and you make the decision that you're going to move in a different direction,
that's,
you don't think that
I didn't come in and start wearing like pink and, you know, I was still wearing black. That is not the true reason why he let me go.
Your own testimony reflects that there was a lessening of the goth look.
In terms of my facial piercing.
And you're saying it had less to do with that than the fact that this gentleman was interested in you.
Yes.
And
it
so
had nothing to do
the
with
problems didn't start until the boyfriend came into the picture. Is he into the goth look?
He's a little bit more mainstream.
That's what's going on. You see a possibility with him. He's like, I'm not really into all the goth. And the more you started doing this, the more you saw a change in this gentleman.
Yeah.
All right.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns.
And you're saying that you let her go because she wasn't dressing according to the way that you wanted her to dress.
Although
I let her go because she broke my contract for my company that I take very seriously.
Although
now, I have that.
Although the new girl you've hired
Show me that.
has bleach blonde hair, wears pink jumpers and plaid skirts and high heels, that's gothic to you?
Why are you talking to him? Are you trying to convince him? Or are you trying to convince me? Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel has to come down in favor of the defendant. Because if it's his store and he has this rule that says he wants you to dress a certain way, and you were saying that you were moving away from that, it totally makes sense to me that you would make it. You're not talking now.
Okay.
You had your turn.
Okay.
It makes sense to me why you would make the decision that you wanted to move away because you're getting older and you want to go in a different direction. But when you're at the job, it would be the equivalent of me saying, I'm not going to wear a robe. I'm not feeling the black anymore. The job requires me to wear a robe. So if I make the decision I don't want to wear a robe, then what I'm really saying is maybe I need to do something else. When you made the decision to move away from that, you also made the decision that you weren't going to be in compliance with the terms and agreements that you signed up for.
Yes, but
You're still talking,
I was still wearing the clothes.
and I'm talking, and that's a problem because now we're having a monologue, not a dialogue. Your matter's dismissed, ma'am. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
I disagree with the judge's ruling, but I'm looking forward to spreading my wings and having a new life.
I agree with the judge's ruling. I take my business very serious, and she broke the contract.